Well, there's a new horse in the Magnum stable, 7150, biggest horse of all. Today we're going to learn about this tractor, its new engine and how it operates, how the tractor performs in the field, and best of all, we're going to talk to some folks who've had a chance to operate it. Come on along with me. Good morning, gentlemen.
Oh, hi, George.
For interrupting.
How you doing?
Doing good. We're at the Design Center to look at some new ideas and concepts on the 7150. This always excites me because I see things on the wall that I know gives our engineers ideas and gets our projects moving. Ralph, talking about the Magnum and the 7150, what kinds of changes are we looking at for that tractor?
Well, George, we always like to talk about the Magnums. The Magnums have been a very popular tractor. The customers like the looks, and we've won a number of awards on these tractors in recent years. We have taken off of that design and looked at several ideas, and Dick has come up with one here that we think is a real winner. That's where we maintain the Magnum look, but emphasize the screen area where it requires more air for this larger horsepower.
Okay, so you've taken a functional need, that is more breathing ability for that big engine, and made it a styling component that makes a visual difference. It's really striking. Well, I notice another tractor underneath a black cloth there. We're going to get a look at that?
Hold it, hold it. That'll have to be for some other time, George.
I guess we'll come back and visit Ralph to talk about that. Now, let's you and I head down to Hinsdale, take a look at that engine, and look at the new performance we've got. Hi, we're at the Hinsdale Engineering and Test Center. We want to spend a little time today talking to Diane about the new 7150. We can tell the 7150 from the big new side panels, big tall MFD tires. Diane, I want to get right to the tough question first.
All right.
We build a 7140 at 195 PTO horsepower, and some of those have been pretty warm tractors. 7150 comes in at 215 PTO horsepower, and I guess the question is, why don't we take a 40 and just put a little more fuel to it and call it a 50? We haven't done that, and I think you can tell me why.
Well, George, there are really two good reasons for that. The first one is reliability. At 20 more horsepower, we're asking for a lot out of this engine, and we really have to be concerned with the life of the components. So we have to take a look at that and make some changes as we need to so that we can give the customer the reliability he's come to expect. The other reason is performance. We're trying to give the customer more than just 1 point on the power curve at 20 horsepower more. We're trying to shape that curve to give the customer the peak horsepower that he needs and the torque rise and the power rise below rated. In order to do that, we have to make some changes to the engine package.
Okay, so we want to give a customer more than just one high point. We want to give them a tractor that performs across the broad range of its application. Let's talk about those changes. What exactly is different on the engine?
Well, for one thing, we've got a wastegate turbocharger on this engine.
Okay, we're going to spend a little more time talking about that later because that interests me. What else have we changed?
We've changed the injection pump.
A new pump?
New pump. And we've made some other changes related to the reliability that I mentioned earlier. Plus, we've got a larger radiator on this engine.
Wastegate turbocharger. That's a new term for me in terms of our tractors, but yet it kind of reminds me of race cars in Indianapolis. What does that mean? What do we get with a wastegate turbocharger?
Well, a wastegate turbocharger on this application gives us improved performance at the low and mid-range of engine operation. So we are essentially optimizing a turbocharger match for that range.
Okay, we're getting more performance in the area where we're concerned about tractor operation.
That's right. Then at higher speeds and loads, we've got more boost than we need. That's when the wastegate really comes into operation. Kind
of to conserve energy, that sort of thing?
Yes, plus help on engine reliability.
Okay, we're not straining engine components. We get the horsepower performance where we need, and we're extending engine life and performance throughout the whole range of operation.
Right. Yes.
Okay, other changes we've made on the engine, Diane?
Well, we've gone to a larger and heavier duty injection pump. We've gone to a larger radiator for increased cooling capacity.
Okay, that reminds me of something. I understand now we've got 5 different cooling systems, one for each model of Magnum tractor. So we're really matching cooling capacity to engine and tractor performance.
Yes, we do.
Very good. Now, components that changed in terms of the fuel injection system. Can we look at those on the other side of the engine?
Sure, let's do it.
Come on over there.
Okay. Here's the injection pump, George. You can just tell by looking at it that it's larger and a heavier duty type of pump.
I can see that. It's longer, it's larger. Something else there I don't understand. I hope you'll explain to me.
Sure. We had to go to this pump because it gives us higher injection pressures and higher injection rates. And that better atomizes the fuel to give us the performance we need. Now, when we go to those higher pressures, we had to make some other changes related to that internal in the engine. For example, the injection pump drive gear was a casting, and now it's a forging on the 7150. The camshaft is now steel. It was a casting. The injection lines have larger and heavier duty fittings, and so do the injectors.
Okay, so we've got heavy-duty lines for overcoming vibration-related problems. I'm hearing components that are going from castings to forgings, castings to steel. So big, heavy-duty durability changes that mean longer life, better performance for the engine.
That's right, that's for sure.
Other changes, Diane? And what I'm looking at is that device right on the end of the pump that's new to me.
This is an aneroid, George, and this gives us fuel control at low speeds. So basically what it allows us to do is get the 20 horsepower more that we need from the engine without more smoke. It helps limit smoke.
Okay, interesting. Diane, is that something that's going to take more maintenance, or is something that customers have to adjust or anything like that?
Not at all. It's a very simple device. It just has a diaphragm in it and a tube that goes to the intake manifold to read boost pressure. And that's basically it. Okay. So it doesn't take any adjustment.
Good. What other sorts of changes? Anything we've missed?
Yes, the 7150 has a unique cylinder head. This cylinder head has smoother intake passages to allow the air to flow more smoothly, so the engine has to work less at drawing the air into the cylinders. We can do that because we're getting our atomization and our mixing from the high pressure injection pump. It allows us to go to a smoother type airflow. Okay, so we're getting the most efficient combustion of fuel, mixing it with air better than we did in the past. That's right. Got to ask the question though, Diane, we're obviously going up in horsepower, and that probably means more fuel consumption, correct? Yes, but we think that it's only going to be 1 to 2 gallons per hour more. And that ought to make a lot of our customers happy, because the 7140 set records in fuel consumption, so now you're getting more horsepower, better performance, and you're doing it at a pretty economical fuel consumption rate. That's right. Okay, good things. Lots of performance changes, lots of new components, a lot of changes that mean power and performance in the ranges our customers are concerned about, and pretty good fuel economy for a horsepower tractor of this size. That's right. Okay, this particular tractor, Diane, I see a lot of dirt and I see a lot of special plumbing, wiring. I know this is a test machine that's gone through a rough cycle. How many tractors, how many 50s are we putting on test, or how many hours are we putting these through? Well, our test program is pretty multifaceted. We've got tractors in the field, we've got bare engine testing, we've got some PTO testing, and altogether we're getting about 16,000 hours of testing on the 7150. Before the first customer sees his tractor, we're going to have that many hours of testing. That's correct. That's super. Diane, I want to thank you a lot. It's been a pleasure. Thank you, George. And I'm going to take this opportunity to get to the field and drive this machine.
Gosh, Kelly, in just a little bit we're going to have this unit hooked up so you can get to the field to see how it really does perform.
I'm looking forward to it.
Good.
Looks like you guys are getting ready to go to work.
Yeah, George, how was your trip down to Hinsdale?
It was really interesting, Roger, because I learned a lot about the engine. Frankly, I was kind of surprised at all the changes on the engine that I didn't even know about. But what I want to learn today is what's different about the tractor. How do those engine changes translate to a better performing tractor?
George, one of the things that I think will really help us is if you'll take this tractor and make a couple passes so you can kind of get the feel for how that tractor does perform, and then we'll come back and talk about the things on the engine, what you learned down at Hinsdale, and try and tie it together for you.
Sounds good. This one right over here?
Yeah, if you'll just take that one and make a couple quick passes, and I think you'll really be impressed.
Roger, it's my understanding that the transmission in the 7150 is basically identical to the transmission in the 7140, so there aren't a lot of changes there. But the final drive is different in the 7150. Could you elaborate on some of those changes?
Yeah, well, possibly the big thing that we've done with the final drive is we've got the 120-inch axle, the heavy-duty axle, which is standard on the tractor. And along with that, with a heavy-duty axle, you know, you get the improved or the large axle housings, axle bearings, and high-capacity seal. In addition to this, the MFD is standard on the tractor, so there's no option on the 7150 for an MFD.
So it sounds to me like the 7150 from a customer standpoint is going to be a very reliable, durable tractor because we have the heavy-duty axle and the MFD is standard in order to transfer that much horsepower to the ground.
That's right. What we're really trying to do is get the power that you've got built up into this tractor down to the ground, and the MFD becomes a viable link to that, making that happen.
Good. What about other changes to the tractor? What have we done to other areas?
Well, Kelly, we've been working on one right here that you can see, and that is the Fargo Quick Hitch that we've adapted onto the tractor, which will make hooking up to three-point implements a lot easier than what you've had in the past with the adjustable links. The adjustable links will still be on the tractor.
So the Quick Hitch will be standard on the 7150. It'll make it a lot easier for customers to hook up to subsoilers, rollover plows, fully mounted implements and the like.
That's correct, and I think they'll like that.
Good.
Along with that, what we've done is we've increased the hitch lift capacity on the tractor. And we've done this by changing our hitch assist cylinders. They were 1 3/4 inches on the 7140. On the 7150, we've taken them to 2 1/4 inches.
That's very impressive. So from a 7140 that had about 12,000 pounds of capacity, the 7150 will have about 15,000 pounds. So for a customer who has very large mounted implements, he's got substantially higher lift capacity.
That's right, and we didn't only do that just by increasing the lift cylinders. What we've done is we've had to change the rear frame in addition to this. By changing the rear frame, what we've done is we've added more beef so that we can withstand that extra lift that we're going to put onto the tractor. In addition to that, it also works with the pull that we're exerting on the lower links so that you've got a much more durable rear frame on the tractor.
So the housing is a little heavier, a little beefier. That'll mean that we can handle the hitch loads with reliability and durability.
That's correct.
Good, good. What about the hydraulic system? Have we done anything in the hydraulic area to the tractor?
Well, the same basic hydraulic that's available on the other Magnum tractors is available on this tractor. Possibly the big change that we've done is we've changed the flow control spool assembly on the tractor. By changing the flow control spool, you know, we've had some customers who have complained about being able to adjust their spray rigs, orbital motors, things of this nature, where they really didn't have the ability to fine-tune what they wanted. Maybe the guy wanted, let's say, 30 pounds of spray pressure, and he wanted to go up, and he was at 35 or he was at 25, and he couldn't really make the adjustment. So by changing the flow control spool, it makes it a lot easier so he can dial in the flow. And this is going to be a major improvement that our customers are going to like.
So when the customer is in the cab, he can reach over on the right-hand side and he's got finer adjustment of the flow control right inside of the cab.
Right inside the cab, he can make that adjustment.
We've made some changes to the PTO. What kind of changes have we made there, Roger?
Yeah, what we've done is we've changed the 1,000 RPM 20-spline PTO, or the big PTO that we've used in the past on the 30 and 40, and for the 7150, this PTO has been changed. And in fact, what we've done is for the customer is that we're going to give him 4 braking pistons rather than 3 for improved braking action on the PTO.
So if the customer has a big pull-type combine or a forage harvester or a grain cart, it'll make it a lot better with PTO braking with big implements like that.
Right. Now, one of the things you got to realize is we're not going to stop the momentum of some of these machines, but we're going to stop the drive shaft coming into it. So if they do have an overrunning clutch or something, the machine will still coast down, but we're improving the braking capacity out of the PTO with this new PTO.
We're offering basically the same tires on the 7150 that we offer on the 7140. Do you have any recommendations for tire selection on 7150?
Yeah, I think what we have to do is look at what the customer is mainly going to do with the tractor. Let's say he's purchasing the tractor and his primary objective with the tractor is for heavy tillage. If he's going to go strictly into heavy tillage, I think he should order the tractor out with like 20.8 R42 rear tires, and I would recommend that the tractor always be dualed, and use a 16.9 R30 up front. This will give him the best or most amount of tire onto the ground for this heavy tillage operation.
What about 7150 that were being placed into a 30-inch row crop application? Okay. What tires would we use there?
Yeah, and once again, if the customer is going to do a lot of row cropping, especially in 30-inch, I would say that we need to get the narrow rear tires, so I'd go with an 18.4 R42 with the 14.9 R30 up front. This would possibly be our best combination and give him the most improved turning radius. We could also go with the 18.4 18.4 R46 rear tires, but then he's got to have the 16.9 R30s up front, and this becomes it's a little bit negative as far as turning radius is concerned.
With the 18.446 and the 16.930 up front, there's about a 5-foot difference in turning radius between that tire combination and the 18.442 and the 14.930. So it's, for the customer, it's a matter of how tight he can turn on headland turns.
That's really what it is. You know, the 46-inch rubber will give him just a little bit more footprint onto the ground, but it's not a whole lot, so it becomes his preference. He's got to remember the turning radius capabilities of the tractor and what he's after that way.
We've got 215 PTO horsepower here, and that's a lot of power to get to the ground. The general rule of thumb is about 110 pounds per PTO horsepower for light loads, 120 pounds for medium loads, and 130 pounds per PTO horsepower for heavy loads. With that kind of a rule of thumb, that puts us in at about 27,500 pounds for maximum operating weight with a 7150. And that'd be a pretty good guideline to use for weighting the tractor. Do you have any other thoughts for ballasting the 7150?
Yeah, Kelly, what I would really recommend is that we look at the customer who's purchasing the tractor and what his primary function of the tractor is going to be. And let's ballast the tractor for that function. In other words, if he's going to go to heavy tillage with the tractor and that's going to be its primary operation, then let's ballast it up for the heavy tillage. If he's going to work on lighter applications, let's say planting or something of that nature, let's ballast it for planting.
Well, it looks like George is just about finished with his trip around the field. Let's go see how he's getting along.
Well, I know he's really going to be impressed.
Hey guys, I'm pretty excited. This horse really pulls. Now tell me, what did I experience there? Why is it so good? Why does it outpull the 40 that we used in this field yesterday?
First, you've got 20 horsepower more with the tractor at 215 PTO horsepower.
That's not a big difference though, Kelly.
Well, but we've specifically set the pump curves so that we have more operating torque and more peak torque throughout the entire operating range. So whether you're pulling in the field or you hit a tough spot, you've got the torque rise and the recoverability so as the tractor will perform.
And I noticed that when I pull back on that throttle and then want to go give it a little more, it would come right back. Seems faster than a 40 normally would.
That's right. It's got the torque curve and the lugging ability designed to match the horsepower.
Okay, Roger, how am I going to do on fuel economy? Certainly when I'm pulling this hard, I'm using more fuel.
Well, George, you know, with the larger horsepower, you're going to use a little bit more fuel. What we've done through our calculated tests and things that we've got, we're estimating that you're going to be about a little over a gallon an hour more with a 7150 over, let's say, a 7140.
Okay, that's gallons per hour, right?
That's right.
But the real thing I want to think about is how much more work I get done with this machine. So my gallons per acre, and that's a real measure of what I'm doing, correct? My gallons per acre, how do I look there?
Okay, what it's going to do is your overall operating costs are going to go down because you're going to be able to cover more ground with a 7150 than, let's say, what you could with a 7140. So your overall operating costs are going to be less than what you had in the past.
Okay, Kelly, I think I can pull faster. I know I can pull harder. And what does that mean to performance?
Ideally, what you want to do with the 7150 is match the implement to the tractor so that you can always pull at 5 miles an hour or faster. That way you'll get the greatest productivity out of the tractor. 5 miles an hour or faster with the appropriate implements.
Okay, I can pull slower, but I want to be matched so I can make that performance happen at 5 miles an hour or better.
Yes, if you'll match it for 5 miles an hour or faster, you'll get the greatest productivity out of the tractor.
Okay, I'm pretty impressed, guys, and I know you are. Let's all of us head down to Memphis. We're going to go to the Agri Center, and we're going to meet with the customers and our salespeople who get to see the first public showing of this great new tractor. Well, here we are at Memphis, and Herman, you and your folks have put together a great-looking event out here. I see a lot of folks driving tractors and looking at seminars. About how many have shown up for this?
Yesterday we had a little over 300 dealers. Today we had a little over 200 customers, so we were pleased with the crowd.
More than 500 people out here, and I see they've got a chance to listen to seminars again, and also they're driving competitive equipment, they're driving a Deere, they're looking at a 40, and they've got a chance to drive the new 7150. What do you think we're going to hear from your customers? What are they looking for in that machine?
I think when the customers get off the tractors, you're going to find that they like the horsepower of the tractor, they like the torque of the tractor. They're going to like the difference between the two tractors in that the 7150's got more capacity. It's going to be able to pull their dirt pans faster. They're going to be able to put 12-row equipment on it and do the job faster. The high lift capacity of the hitch is going to permit them to pick up bigger loads, and it's just going to do a better job for them.
Okay, we're going to go talk to a few of them right now and see if we get that message. You all come along with us. Herman, thank you very much.
Thank you, George.
It's got a lot of lugging ability. I pulled the throttle way back coming through the field, and it just kept digging. It seems to balance good. It seems to have the torque that we want. We've got a lot of farmers that they're pulling bigger and bigger implements, and this tractor lugs well. It doesn't quit. I had it in high gear and pulled the throttle back, and it just kept digging in and going, and that's what we're needing. So many people are resistant to four-wheel drives because of their bulk, and this gets in a segment of the market that we can get people in it we couldn't in a four-wheel drive.
We were outperforming the 4955 with the 7140. So this tractor versus the Deere is just going to be awesome. Florida, we mainly deal with a lot of potato growers, and they're looking at 12 to 18 row equipment, and they're looking for the largest lift capacity they can find on a hitch. Plus, they like the high horsepower.
Farmers have got to become more efficient. They've got to plow more acres and spend less dollars. So I think we're going to require a bigger row crop tractor. A 7150 recovers quicker than any Magnum tractor that we've got. It resembles the recovery rate of a Fargo tractor.
The tractor itself, the torque on that one, I was amazed that I was able to get up into 8th gear and still the exhaust temperature was staying low on it. It didn't seem to even work the tractor.
It was a powerful tractor. We had an 11-shank subsoiler on it. It really had a lot of power, both at lower idling RPMs and then on up at full throttle. You could put the subsoiler all the way in the ground, and the tractor did not feel like it was under a load at all and just moved right on. We just got a much superior tractor. You can see out of the front of this tractor, you can see out of the back of the tractor. You're not driving like this, looking out the side of the tractor. You can look straight on, you know exactly where you're going, and it's just a much easier driving machine. The 50 is just more powerful, and you can tell it. The 40 is a big tractor. It's got a lot of horsepower. It's all that a lot of people need, but the 50 has got that extra edge and get you over the top of the hill on a lot of applications. I think it'll work great for our customers. We're in a predominantly cotton farming area. We're going to more and more 12-row equipment, which is all mounted on the hitch. The hitch capacity of this tractor and the horsepower that we can deliver to the hitch on this tractor is going to be a cotton farmer's dream.
It's a hard pulling tractor. It's a lot more tractor than the 40 is. I was surprised. I'm happy with the 40, but found a new toy now. It's a lot stouter. I was surprised. I didn't think it'd be that much horsepower difference, but it's a big difference. We needed to upgrade our operation, took on some more ground, and but the 50 is a lot more tractor than what we've got. Definitely farm more and faster. Have to buy some bigger equipment to put behind this. What we've got isn't big enough to hold this back.
It's been real interesting. It's we've put it on two 15-yard dirt buckets, a train of 215, so we're pulling 30 yards of dirt, and it's just the tractor's had incredible power. We've put it in the field with 4955 and ran it several days. In fact, every day against 4955 is in the field with it, and the power is just, there's a lot of difference in the power and the traction that we've been able to get with the 7150. We're getting a lot more. The 4955 couldn't handle the two larger pans. It's on a 10 and 12 yard dirt bucket, and it's still not loading the 10 and 12 as fast as we're loading the 215s with the 7150. Well, just that we've been real satisfied with it. I think it's a real step forward. The power and I've been impressed with the way that it'll hold the traction in the ground. It's well balanced, and operator comfort's been excellent. And our operators comment on how much they like that. So
I liked it. It seemed to be real stout. The hitch responded quickly. Seemed to be a pretty stout tractor. The 40's good. The 50 looks to be even better.
I liked it. It rides well, has good pulling power. and have two 7140s, and well, three, I take that back, but only one front wheel assist. But this has a lot more pulling power. Well, on my heavy duty big oxen problems, and being able to cover more ground with the big ox and heavier plows, chisel plow, things like that, I'll be able to get across the field quicker than what I have been able to. I like my 40s, this one I like this too, but this is just a lot more power, larger tractor, more horsepower. And it just rides real well, Of course, I didn't get to drive it as much as I wanted to, but I'll get them to bring one to the farm.
Well, that's what our customers think about this new tractor. Now let's hear a few words from Bob Carlson.
As I told a group here a little while ago that was gathered together, the proof of any of this in terms of how confident you are in your product, how strongly you believe in it, how much you believe your own reliability story, lies in things like what's the warranty package that you're willing to put out in front of it. If you're willing to step out like Case IH has done and say, hey, this tractor is warranted for 5 years and 5,000 hours, that's an enormous statement of confidence in your own reliability, confidence in your own engineering, confidence in your own manufacturing. In this Magnum tractor, that's a very real, well-based confidence, because that tractor is that good. And nothing really means as much to the farmer as the reliability, and then to have it backed by a posture like that warranty. But put the warranty aside if you want to, and just look at things like customer convenience. This is a much larger, roomier, more comfortable cab. We've got an awful lot of visibility in this tractor, very important. We've got lighting that realistically lets the farmer operate this tractor before the sun comes up in the morning and after the sun goes down in the evening. I can go on and talk about these tractors. I can relate them so very well to those wonderful John Deere tractors, and they are wonderful tractors with fine features and fine engineering and good people that engineered them and good people that produced them. But we've got a better tractor today. We've got so much better tractor today for so many reasons. Our transmission, 18 speeds, very carefully spaced in terms of step function. Wonderful transmission, a transmission that will take all of that 215 horsepower and a lot more. We've got the ability in our engine line to take that engine horsepowers up and up and up and up without being concerned about getting to the edge of the envelope. Hey, if I didn't believe those things, I wouldn't be here.
Our 7150 story. And now you've got the biggest horse in the field. 215 horsepower. Beats anybody else in this class.